a podcast to honor the gods.
This better come with a sacrifice.
Dave X Media.
The bits.
Which knows?
Nope.
Who knows?
Nope.
Now, you know what I can say instead?
What can you say?
I can say, welcome to The Bits, hosted by your favorite jam buds, Robert.
And Charlie.
Took me a second to remember. I was about to say Charlie. I'm like, that's not my name.
Yeah, you did that at least once, if not twice, where you just said the wrong name. And I was like, okay, I guess I'm Robert today.
I mean, Robert's a good name.
Yeah. You know, I can't knock it. It's all right.
We can't knock it. I don't know about you, but I have a problem. I have so many birthdays. I'm gonna
You
need
have so many.
We're gonna need somebody to help us out to deal with all these birthdays. So we have with us today a special guest.
Hello, special guest.
Hello, it's me.
It's you. No introduction. It's her. That's it. That's all you need to know. But special guest, introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Phoebe. I come from the Monster Donut podcast over in Percy Jackson land.
Over in Percy Jackson land. I've never been there.
Never in your life have you had a Percy Jackson podcast, especially not two.
I had two that I stopped doing. You are part of the Monster Donut podcast. It's great. That's fantastic.
Thank you.
I think by the time this episode comes out, when does this shit come out? Like August?
It would be funny if it came out during my birthday. That'd be great.
This comes out
God, it comes out the day before my birthday. That's funny.
on Percy's birthday.
Happy birthday.
In fact,
oh, so many birthdays.
Yo, this episode about birthdays comes out on Percy Jackson's birthday. We did it.
A boy who hasn't had that many birthdays because he's still 17.
I refuse to believe that. But tell the listeners what you discuss on Monster Donut. Like, what is the vibe of your podcast?
So we call it a literary and historical deep dive into the Percy Jackson's series and all of its following spinoffs, which basically just means that I come at it as a dramaturg and story consultant, which is kind of just like I work with writers and offer notes on TV and theater scripts professionally. And then my co-host, Emily, studied Greek and Latin in college. So that's the angle that she comes at it from.
You're both super nerds, is what you're saying. That's the podcast.
That's definitely the vibe. We go book by book instead of chapter by chapter, which is kind of insane of us. We're realizing, but
you're doing it, and you're doing it so well. I love it.
I think the reason I stopped doing a Percy Jackson podcast is because everyone else who is doing one is so much smarter than I am. They have better points to make.
Yeah.
That can't be true.
I vibe with that.
Almost everyone.
Wow. Robert, you're definitely saying this towards me.
Yes, I am.
Thank you.
I love you, buddy.
Well, Phoebe, would you love to tell us how you got into Steven Universe? Why are you here for this one? Is there a connection?
Have you had too many birthdays?
Yeah, that's it.
You're too old.
I'm just too old. I think I got into Steven Universe because I liked Adventure Time and I liked like Gravity Falls, and I think it was around the time when Over the Garden Wall came out and all of these like cartoon worlds, people were making fan art of all of them. Like if someone liked one, they usually liked all four, like including Steven Universe. And I was like, I think I'm missing out.
Is this like Rise of the Brave Tangled Guardians?
I don't think it wasn't like crossover. It was more just like the people who watched one were probably fans of the others and were like posting analysis of them. And I was like, that's cool. I should get it.
Amazing.
Charlotte, you and I went to two different Tumblr trio fandoms because I was thinking Super Hulock.
I mean, that's also
Yeah.
where I come from, but in for this episode specifically, honestly, I have a document where when I like a show very much, I tend to make a document. And on that document is every episode along with a marker that says, like, is this one essential to the plot? Is it one of my favorites? Is it a character episode? Is it a world building episode? And then I like put a little note with some spoiler free thoughts on it. And that's what I give to people when they're going to start the show if they want some kind of guide. And so when you guys said that you were starting a Steven Universe podcast, I went to my Steven Universe document and this was the first episode that I had marked as a favorite, along with the note, this is just a very weird episode that I enjoy. It has nothing to do with the plot.
Oh yeah, this is definitely one of the episodes you can just skip.
I just need to like take in what you said about what you do with your favorite shows, and I'm like, that is like some insane shit, but it's also beautiful and amazing.
Thank you.
Speaking of, because we keep saying the title, today we're looking at season 1, episode 13, So Many Birthdays. It's so many birthdays, not too many
so
birthdays. I keep thinking it's too many birthdays.
I do too. I'm just like, this episode is called Too Many Birthdays. No, it's so many.
So many. And this episode premiered March 3rd, 2014. Oy. I mean, y'all remember March 2014? What was happening March 2014? I don't remember. I feel like every time I talk about when this episode that we're reviewing came out, I'm like, what was happening at the time?
Do you want to pull an Entering Storybrooke and like do that stuff
hell
again?
No. Dude,
exactly.
When I do that on Entering Storybrooke, it's like a panic 10-minute Google rush before the episode starts recording.
Well, this episode came out in a time in our existence, I think. We were all alive at this point, I think.
Let's see.
That's
March
true.
2014. What was happening March 2014? What was the top movie? Rise of an Empire, Divergent. What the fuck? Okay.
Oh my god. That was an era.
That was an era. Oh my god. I mean, to think that this episode almost 10 years old.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's in fact like that's the point of this podcast, Robert. The show is 10 years old.
10 years old. Wow. This show has had so many birthdays.
It has had so many. Like 10.
Like 10.
At least.
All right, so hey Ethan, I know you listen to this. So for that Ben 10 podcast, I was thinking we could
Shut the fuck up, Robert.
Okay, I'll shut the fuck up as long as you start telling us what happens in this episode.
Oh, me?
Yes.
I have to tell you? Okay.
Well, how does it start, Charlie? I speak too much, okay? I edit these. I talked way too fucking much. Phoebe has barely spoken. Phoebe, say something.
Hey everybody, it's me, Phoebe, here again.
That's all you need.
Okay, I did in fact forget what the heck was happening at the beginning. I was just like, the first note I have is like the photo, because that's the most important thing to me, is that photo.
So the episode opens up with the crystal gems in Amethyst's room because they're looking for something smelly, and they find what the smelly thing is. It's not the photo yet. It's behind the photo. They find the smelly thing, which is a tuna burrito that Amethyst got from a restaurant that closed like, 5 years ago it was?
Oh, that's all that matters. That's disgusting, dude. No, get rid of it.
I don't think I would trust a tuna burrito that was made 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, but the thing is, she can't die of food poisoning, so she can eat it.
She can get sick, though.
Yeah.
How did gems have to expel things from their bodies?
Are you asking if gems have to take a shit?
I mean, it could be either direction. Like, do they also vomit?
Well, according to this episode, it seems like yes.
Apparently so, but also according to this episode, this is where Steven realizes that the gems are old.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, didn't we already have one of these crises a few episodes back where it's like, oh, the gems are at least 100 years old or something? I think it was the Sea Spire or something.
I think it was one of the Spire episodes where they did briefly mention like, oh yeah, gems. No, it was the floating Spire thingy. It was the
It was like the last time I was here, like 100 years ago or something, was just like kind of said, but Steven didn't latch onto it. We did.
yeah, but now they see, so they pull out a photo of the gems and Rose in Pioneer clothing. It's not the same, but I want a headcanon that is George Washington's trek on the
it is
Delaware River.
No, that's it. That's what it's supposed to be referencing, isn't it?
I think so.
Like,
but are we saying that like that's literally instead of George Washington, it was them?
I think so. I think that would be a much better plot line.
I mean, they have war experience, so who better to lead the revolution
than Garnet? Because Garnet is in the George Washington like
pose, yeah,
not pose necessarily, but like in the spot, and she's got the hat. So I'm just like, so Garnet is the first president of the United States, actually.
Garnet Washington. Still got to keep it GW, but you know what the hardest part of that photo was?
Getting the shark to pose. I want this photo, actually. Like this is a photo that I want to exist in my life and have framed on my desk because it's just beautiful. They're such a vibe. That's it. That's all that matters to me. Yeah, so the gems are fucking olds.
They can fuck whoever they want as long as it's consentful.
We technically don't know how old some of them are. Some are older than others, but Steven's just like, wow, you guys are old. Guess what? They can still get hurt and die. So they won't live forever. They're not immortal.
I have to say that I already have a lingering fear and anxiety that one day I will die. And this episode did not help that anxiety at all.
You're welcome. Is this another episode that like Josh could have come on for because it's kind of frightening and horrifying? It's not necessarily horror, but it's like existential. We've been bringing our friend who has a horror podcast on for any episode that's vaguely horror. So
it's definitely, it lives in my brain with like Frybo and Cat Fingers, like that kind of brand of like Steven learning his powers and it's starting out wholesome and turning into horror by the end.
This is the beginning of his trauma. Like these episodes, this is where the trauma started.
I believe this episode is referenced when Connie's mom asks him like, hey, were there any traumatic things that happened in your childhood?
I got so old that I almost died.
Yeah, there we go. He says that.
I'm pretty sure he says that.
Yeah, no, that sounds familiar.
So Steven realizes that the Crystal Gems have never celebrated their birthdays before, so he tries to throw them a little birthday party. It's so cute.
He throws each of them birthday parties. Like he's got to do like separate things. It's not all of them at once. And then we have the iconic birthday outfit. Okay, the birthday suit, if you will.
We already seen Steven's birthday suit, like what, 6 episodes in Frybo of all fucking episodes.
Oh my goodness. We need to stop seeing this boy naked.
We've only seen him naked once, and once was too much.
That was too much already. But you know, the cape, the crown, do we love it? Is it iconic?
Hey, it's because I'm thinking about Super Hulock. I'm thinking about that scene in Sherlock where Moriarty is like, baby, you know they love to see me in a crown.
Okay, I loved Steven's outfit, but now that you've said that, I don't know how I feel about it.
Well, oops.
Listen, I was a big Sherlock kid when I was 16. Oh God. Oh no.
That was like 10 years ago, bud.
I was a big Sherlock fan when it came out. And then I grew up and I realized it's kind of bad. And then I also found out quite recently the only heterosexual adaptation of Sherlock Holmes that exists is Elementary, and it's not for the reason you think.
Amazing. So I think this episode is also important for Amethyst booping Pearl's nose with the party hat that she puts on her nose. I think this is an important moment. Iconic, even referencing the fact that Pearl has a party hat nose. It's
She does.
just a little boop, boop.
I will say, we mentioned briefly how they each have individual parties, and
Mhm.
I love the way that Steven kind of caters each one to each of them.
Yeah, he's trying his best. He's like, this will work for Amethyst, and then Pearl's party. Oh my goodness. Pearl, do you
Pearl's
like
party
pie?
is my absolute favorite of the three, of probably my favorite part of the whole episode. It's so funny.
I do like pie. Okay.
Steven, are you telling lies?
Seriously, the fact that she's just like, nope. I love it so much.
But I think that, like, the fact that we're pretty early on still, and so we're still getting to know each of the gems' personalities and how they interact with the human world, and so especially Garnet at this point, I feel like. And so I feel like this is a great episode for that.
Yeah. Also, this could either be an inconsistency or what have you, but like Pearl saying she likes pie?
I know.
She doesn't like food. Does she just like the idea of pie?
I think so.
I feel like Pearl would like the idea of pie.
The idea of making pie.
It soothes her to make a pie, but then she's like, I'm not gonna touch that.
She thinks it's just done once you've made it. It's like, great, and you kind of put it on a shelf on display.
The secret of Pearl, she just has a bunch of pies like on a shelf that have been rotting. That's where the other smell is from, actually.
Right. She's seen in the human movies where they put the pie out on the windowsill and they just leave it, and she's like, and that's where it stays.
I need this AU. This is beautiful. So, yeah, Steven tries to make jokes, and he's in a weird little clown man suit. It doesn't work. Trying to put the pie in the face, she's like, I'm not into this. I'm kind of scared by what's happening here.
Bird mom must protect her children.
Yeah, she doesn't like that he tells lies. Okay. Okay.
I don't know if y'all remember that fucking terribly animated, like, for children YouTube thing that happened a few years back. Johnny, yes, Papa.
Yep. No?
Eating sugar, no, Papa. Telling lies, no, Papa. Open your mouth.
I have a vague memory, and I don't want to see more of it in my brain.
So many birthdays have passed since that last was like relevant.
And then we get the kazoo racers for Garnet's birthday. His last attempt. I would have loved this as a child. I loved the idea of those little cars. I can't remember if I ever had one, but I was in love with them. Like, yes, I want a tiny car. Also, kazoos, great, wonderful.
Yeah. I never had one and was just recently complaining about this to my mother because we were talking about Barbie and like those little Barbie Jeeps. I wanted a Barbie Jeep so bad. Never got one because they were expensive, but still complain worthy.
It would really so just sad. Do be like that. Unfortunate.
Yeah.
So when all three parties fail, they kind of tell him, like they low-key, but also directly tell him, we just think that parties are childish human behavior.
Yeah, and then Amethyst is like, turns into a baby to fit in the car. Be like, hey, which way to the baby war? It's kind of upsetting also to me, because I'm just like, wow, no, childhood? I'm sad now. I can't.
Mm-hmm. I think that's part of why I like latch onto this episode, is that general feeling of like, as someone who generally resents being told to grow up just because the things that bring you joy are for children, this episode speaks to me.
As someone who still consistently watches cartoons.
Yeah. As a Percy Jackson podcast, like,
reads children's literature, like it's
Percy
fine.
Jackson. Meanwhile, there's me. I still watch cartoons and read like silly little comics. Percy Jackson. Oh no, I'm sorry. Steven Universe podcast, Once Upon a Time podcast, Kim Possible podcast, Alice Oseman / Heartstopper podcast. Heartstopper drops next week. It's great.
Hey, gotta plug those things.
Yeah. Well, we're not OTEG. We don't plug anything at the end of the show.
Hush, Robert.
No.
So yeah, Steven is gonna have an existential crisis for the rest of the episode now, because Oh no, it's just for kids? What? I can't like kid things. No. I'm so sad for this boy. He's only 13. Let him like children's things.
No.
As someone who was told at like age 7, no, you can't watch like Dora the Explorer, that's for babies. Or like whatever like kids shows were on like Disney Junior and Nickelodeon at the time, you know?
Did anyone else have a weird little phase where like they got away from the children's stuff, but then very briefly returned to it as maybe like a 10 or 11-year-old, like trying to heal their inner child?
I never left.
Yeah.
I just hid it better. I was just like, I'm not going to talk to people about what I watch now instead.
That's smart. I had a phase where I like me and my siblings were watching like the Upside Down show when we were probably like quote unquote too old to be watching it, but it was specifically because we were like, well, we understand that we're supposed to be too old for this, but we're going to watch it anyway as an act of rebellion. But it was definitely just us enjoying children's media still.
Now you gotta fight the man.
I'm in a house of like Disney and Barbie lovers, so like it's gonna be children's media forever in this house.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Stephen ages.
Stephen ages. His fucking gem like reacts to his emotions. Again, all his power is tied to his emotions. That's what we're seeing.
I thought it was Cookie Cat that activated his gem.
So Cookie Cat activates his shield. What? So like crushing nihilism and realizing that he's going to age and die activates the aging powers?
No, you misunderstand. It was playing the kazoo.
Oh, yes. Yes, of course. Playing the kazoo. All right, so we need to keep track of his powers so far and how they've activated. So Cookie Cat activates the shield. Kazoo activates the aging. What activated the bubble?
Being nervous about a crush.
Oh, true. He walks to like a clothing store to try and get a quote unquote like real job.
First he goes to like the games.
He passes the arcade, yeah.
And he's like, I can't play this junior game. I have to play like the regular Whacker Man. That's so silly. And yeah, then he goes to the clothing stores like, I need to get a real job. What are the shirts he goes by? It's like something and then Love Doctor and then it's Professional Beach Hunk. And
hold on.
Oh.
I'm looking it
What's
up.
the first one? What are the only 3 jobs that Steven is allowed to have? The 3 genders, if you will.
I can't remember.
Robert is finding it.
I'm trying to find it. What the fuck?
Do.
Shut up. Or I beat you up.
Good luck with that.
So the shirt he ends up buying says Professional Beach Hunk.
You gave up. Yes. I mean, it's a perfect job for Steven is to be a professional beach hunk.
Mm-hmm.
And then you see the adult he grows into. Is that a beach hunk?
I want to say that he doesn't, like, technically speaking, when you grow up, you start to look a little bit like your parents. He doesn't really look anything like Greg.
Robert, he looks like you.
I'm leaving. I'm done with this podcast. I'm done with Charlie. I'm done with this podcast.
It's the curls and the beard.
You just happen to be wearing a pink shirt.
You need to have the Professional Beach Hunk shirt, and then you just be Steven like that. Like that's how you cosplay as Steven.
You can definitely find that. Someone's for sure made it.
There are many people who have made this shirt. Yep. I guarantee.
Oh, absolutely. A lot of people have made this specifically because of Steven Universe.
Of course.
Oh, it's sold at Walmart. What the fuck?
You could reenact the scene and just be like, "Huh, this is it. I gotta be this job. This is me." So yeah, he goes to that, and then he goes to the Big Donut, and he becomes middle-aged. He becomes Danny DeVito.
Is that what I'm going to turn into when I grow up, Danny DeVito?
It looks like it.
I think so. I think it's canon at this point.
I don't want to turn into Danny DeVito.
I'm sorry.
He's beloved. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah, he's beloved, but will I be beloved?
You already are beloved, so this scene at the Big Donut where he's just like, I want to get my usual, and they have no freaking clue who he is. Lars and
Yeah.
Sadie's like, who is this creepy old guy?
Lars says a line that kind of bums me out. He's like, buddy, I work here every day and I've never seen you. I'm like, when do you do you have hobbies? Do you do things? Like, do you leave the town?
Isn't he a high schooler?
I guess. I also forget how old people are.
I think they're supposed to be vaguely in high school.
Yeah.
Ish. Yeah? I don't know.
But it's like perpetually summer, so it doesn't really matter.
That's true. It is always, in fact, summer. So there's 104 days of summer vacation.
School comes along just to end it.
We're not doing this for another episode. We already sang the entire theme song.
Nah, for the bloopers we should do well, I'll figure it out.
Plan the bloopers.
I can plan whatever the fuck I want.
Okay, so yeah, he's kind of having a crisis because he's like, shit, I'm old. I actually aged. Oh no, what's my life coming to? Then he ages a little bit more, and his hair just grows longer. Okay, sure. And he has an epiphany. He needs a reverse birthday. He needs to put on the birthday suit, and he asks Sadie to help him put it on, using that exact phrasing. Steven, maybe think about your words before you say them. Just a little bit.
Yeah, Sadie chases him out, because that's fucking weird, Steven.
Yeah, that's a little bit creepy behavior. Then he becomes even older.
So he went from Steven to me to Danny DeVito to Santa ?
Yeah, he did. But then Lion finds him. I love that Lion just immediately is like, this is Steven. I know him.
It's him and the gems, like just immediate recognition.
Yeah, exactly. It's good.
They can sniff him.
They can.
They can all sniff him.
Sniff the boy.
Do not sniff the boy.
So yeah, Steven is very, very old. They don't know what to do, but Garnet, who is still wearing the birthday cap and cape because it made her feel important, gives it to Steven. It's not helping. Is not doing much. They try to cheer him up. He just gets older and sadder. This is the part where everybody starts crying because it's like, shit, Steven,
no. I love everyone's approach. Amethyst turns into a little car trying to make him laugh. Pearl, through sobbing, like holding back the floodgates, is trying to be like, oh no, a perfectly good pie. It would be a shame. Oh, Steven!
She's wearing the clown costume.
Yeah, I love how Amethyst is like, are you trying to kill him faster? And she breaks down into even more crying.
And then Garnet's reaction is to use violence. And just try to shake Steven.
Just violently shake him. I mean, out of the 3 gems, who do we think had the best approach?
Amethyst?
I think by the end, maybe Amethyst. I think at first, like, Garnet's initial instinct being like, we need to give him more birthdays, like I'm assuming to make him feel younger.
Yeah.
Like, I think that instinct was a good one, but by the end, it's probably Amethyst who's like, yeah, I think it's definitely not Pearl.
I want to be like, oh, it's like Sapphire like took the reins for a minute, and then Ruby was just like so frustrated by the end, like, Steven, just come back, I'm done. That's Garnet's reaction. Yeah. It's kind of sad and depressing, but also I've definitely seen someone cosplay as old Steven before.
Terrible. Straight to jail.
I think it's actually beautiful. I think if I were in fact an old person, that's what I would do.
You are an old person, Charlie.
It's true. I am. And you're a professional beach hunk.
I'm gonna buy the shirt. Listen, my boyfriend will appreciate that shirt.
I'm glad.
What I was gonna say is that I love how it resolves. Like Steven observes the crystal gems arguing amongst themselves, and that reverts him back to his adult form, being like, "You guys need to stop acting like kids."
Yeah. He's just like, I'm gonna take control of this situation, and then he's like, oh, I didn't mean to yell. Like, it's so cute.
I find it interesting that it wasn't making him feel younger necessarily. It was like putting him in the adult position in the group.
It was good. Also, just like when he gets more and more existential again, like he goes back to the old person, it just keep fluctuating for a minute, and then he's like, yeah, I am pretty great. And then he goes back to the regular Steven, wearing a gigantic shirt.
Minus the legs.
We don't talk about the legs.
I'm very curious, like, why not the legs? Like, did the emotions just not reach his legs? What was going on here?
His legs are still an adult, okay? Isn't this literally what happens in his, like, actual birthday episode? Is that he grows his legs longer? Is this foreshadowing?
Oh, yeah.
Oh my goodness. That's actually really funny, though, that it is kind of foreshadowing that he ages himself up in his own birthday episode. You know? And this is like the episode talking about birthdays.
Yeah. And it seems like he's sort of been, isn't it sort of revealed in that episode, if I'm like remembering correctly, that he's subconsciously kind of keeping himself young and has been since he was like 8?
Yeah, it's just like it's a state of mind, you know? He just didn't grow up. I wish that were me.
You know what? I wish that, you know.
Yeah.
I wish that you ever see those like Facebook posts that are like, you can press one of two buttons. Button 1 gives you $400 billion. Button 2 reverts you back to when you were 7, but you retain all your knowledge of what's to come. And it's like, what would you choose? And I'd be like, I wouldn't mind being 7 again. I know what to do.
Yeah.
Or do I?
Be like, I have the knowledge. I can go bet on some things. I know the future.
Oh, you're assuming you're going back in time too. In my head, I was just 7.
No. That's also what the thing was. I was trying to be like, you also go back in time.
You go back in time and you're just like, shit, this is going to be a bad year. I know what's going to happen in 2016.
We gotta save Harambe. That's when the timeline diverged. That's when it became the bad timeline, when Harambe got killed.
Oh my god.
I've seen memes that are like me going back in time to save Harambe. Harambe like putting his hand on my shoulder and shaking his head because he's trying to prevent a worse timeline.
Oh. Well. So Steven Universe, the episode ends with those legs.
Yeah, he returns to his normal age, but he has adult legs. Ugh.
Yeah. It's fine.
Hey, Charlingo.
Am I Duolingo now?
Yes.
Is that it? I'm the owl?
Here,
cool.
Speak a language other than English right now.
No thank you.
French, got it.
I can barely speak English at this point. So
you know what it's time for now, Charlie?
Is it time for Crystal Temple trivia?
Yes, it is. The original title for this episode was 10,000 Birthdays. It was also referred to as such on the video page for the show on the Cartoon Network Asia website.
Interesting. Why 10,000?
Yeah, that's like, it's definitely not that many.
I don't think Steven ages 10. Maybe it's supposed to be a way of like, oh, that's how old the crystal gems are. That'd be kind of funny if that's how old they are.
Huh. My brain just goes to 10,000 years. Will give you such a crick in the neck.
I have a crick in my neck right now.
I'm sorry.
Whoa.
Are you 10,000 years old?
Yes. I like making a joke whenever whoever I'm driving with in a car because I like cracking my neck and it's audible cracks. And I'm like, one day I'm just going to twist my neck too far and I'm going to go slump at the wheel.
Robert, you worry me. Just
I
a
promise.
lot, actually.
I promise to not die on purpose.
I know you.
That's good.
I know you won't.
That's it. Now I'm promising to die on purpose. I'm doing it.
It is also revealed by Pearl that while the gems are immortal, they can still get hurt and possibly die. Gems regenerate, so it is possible that Pearl is referring to being shattered. Ooh.
Possibly.
There are 3 other people in the photo besides Rose Quartz, Amethyst, Pearl, and Garnet. Is one of these 3 people? Is one of them counting the shark?
No. There's somebody
Actually,
who's drowning.
no. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So there are 2 people.
Went over the side.
And there's one person who went overboard, and the shark. That shark is getting punched by non-gauntlet Garnet. I love it.
Yeah, this is iconic, truly. I wonder if any of those people are like Buddy Budwick, like the old timey people that are like
Charlie. They're dead.
Yeah.
And they had too many birthdays. They died.
This is true. This is in fact true. Okay, well, in Cartoon Network Philippines, the part where Steven said, "But a boy on the cusp of manhood can't spend the whole day whackering" was cut.
I wonder why. Steven's middle name is... I don't know. On the cusp of manhood, I believe people are whackering all... Anyway.
It's
Steven's
because Wackerman. Wackerman Jr.? Wackerman?
No,
the games?
I'm pretty sure it's a pun on...
Yeah.
Steven's middle name is revealed to be Quartz, which is his mother's last name.
She doesn't have a last name. They're gems. They don't have last names.
Well, according to the Wikipedia, that's what her...
No, it's her second first name.
Rose Quartz.
It's like our good friend Mary Clay.
Rose Quartz is a part of the Quartz family, so it's sort of...
But she's not Amethyst Quartz. She's not Jasper Quartz.
They just choose not to go by that name.
Okay, it is revealed that due to Steven's half-human, half-gem heritage, he ages differently than normal humans. His gem ages him in response to his state of mind, literally making him as old or as young as he feels.
This may be due to the... You go. Say it. Say it, Charlie.
Fuck you. This may be due to the gem segment of his physiology, with his age actually being just a form taken. However, Pearl's nod to the possibility of Steven's death may also mean that due to the human segment of his physiology, his age may have some effect on his body. Cool.
When Steven reverts to his original age, his face looks babyish. This could mean that Steven would have originally aged younger at that point.
I believe it.
I don't.
He actually looks like he's 7 now instead of 8. Among the piles in Amethyst's room is a Lion Liquors freezer. Oh my god. Throwback.
Wow, she switched over so fast from Lion Liquors to or from Cookie Cat to Lion Liquors.
She's the enemy, actually, because we don't like Lion Liquors.
We were wrong. It's not a reference to the George Washington crossing the Delaware River. It's a parody of a 1778 painting by John Singleton Copley titled Watson and the Shark. And if you look at this picture, it is just a bunch of guys trying to fight a shark while they're trying to save their one guy friend who gets thrown overboard. Look at him.
Look at that shark now.
Look at that fucking shark. He's great. I love him. 10 out of 10. They gave him like little devil nostrils.
I still think it's also Washington.
Hamilton, that's a constitutional convention.
No one in this photo has the hat. Does Washington have the hat in that?
Reference. Yes, he does, I believe, because he's supposedly the general doing general things.
Crossing. Yes, he has the big hat. Cool. I think it's a combination. I think it's both.
All right. The 3 cars Steven brought for Kazoo Racing seem to be a reference to the cast of Transformers.
What?
A yellow Volkswagen Beetle for Bumblebee, a green Jeep J59 for Hound, and a less determinable red sports car that could be referencing either Cliff Jumper or Sideswipe. I only know Bumblebee.
Bumblebee's the only one who's important.
Because he's a bee, he goes bzz.
Yep. This episode shows how Onion wins so many arcade tickets, as seen in the episode Arcade Mania, by opening the ticket vaults in the arcade machines with a screwdriver. That boy is a criminal.
I love him so much.
He's only a criminal if he gets caught. In this episode,
Onion also never ages. I still love that part.
In the episode, Pearl says she likes pie, seemingly happy about it before Steven attempts to fall onto it. However, Pearl has stated that she hates eating due to the nature of the digestive cycle. This is the second time that she has implied that she likes food, with the first time being in Together Breakfast, where she's okay with ordering a pizza, saying, "Pizza sounds good."
Pearl, what's up with this?
Pearl,
do you like food or not?
Not until the end. Not until the end. All right, it's time to give our Pearl points. Phoebe, who are you giving your Pearl point to this episode?
I don't know what that means.
It just sort of means like, who was your favorite character or like your favorite part? Like, who are you giving a Pearl point to?
I'm gonna say Garnet, because I remember being very struck by how emotional she got. Because I feel like this was an early example of her being emotional on screen.
That's good. I love it. I'm not going to be as serious, but my Pearl point goes to that photo of them with the shark. Maybe even more. My Pearl point goes to the shark for posing for that photo. Actually, thank you. You did us such a service posing. It was beautiful.
It's much better than the original painting of the shark. This one's actually like a lot more dynamic.
It's way better.
Well, thank you for taking my Pearl point. Actually, it doesn't matter. I'm also giving a Pearl point to the shark. I love him. Just a little guy. Look at him. Look at him. Look at how he's drawn. He's drawn like a simple little guy. I fucking love this shark. His name's Gregory. I love him.
Phoebe, you can tell how seriously we take the Pearl points.
Should I redo mine?
if not, I mean, just keep it for whoever for Garnet. I have given a Pearl point to inanimate objects many times.
I feel like we often give them to inanimate objects because it's either that or we give them to like Steven for trying his best in every single episode.
I always try and go for a funny Pearl point that isn't really a character unless the character like really did a lot that episode. I cannot remember off the top of my head. I think one of the Pearl points I gave him to were to the crystals, the crystal slugs or worms.
Yes, the shrimps. The crystal shrimps.
I gave Pearl point to them because then they exploded in a fucking explosion. R.I.P.
I love them so much.
I love them so much. Now,
they love their bagels.
Hey, before we end our gay space rock show, Phoebe, would you like to tell once more our lovely audience where to find you, who you are, and why you are what? What did I forget?
We forgot the question.
Oh, fuck the question. We can do that after Phoebe talks.
Oh, okay. That's fine.
So I come from Monster Donut, which is a Percy Jackson podcast that you can find on Spotify or Apple Podcast or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And you can find us on social media at PJ Hope Pod, on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. And you can find my personal handles there also in the link tree.
Yeah,
that's it.
She does some cool art that goes.
Oh yeah,
with the
we
show.
post art there every week, or we try to.
Well, what the question for the episode? Let's see.
The question should be something birthday related, like how would you want to celebrate your birthday? What's your question, Charlie?
I was gonna say like, what is your birthday like costume? I don't want to say birthday suit.
Costume.
What is your birthday suit? Like, are you going with like the cap, or I keep saying cap, crown and cape? That's what he has. Are you going with something like that? Are you going like more low key? Like what are you wearing on your birthday? What's his outfit?
I quite literally used to have a birthday suit. It was a pink shirt that said birthday girl on it. I would wear a little tiara with it. And I would go to school like that for like years. The shirt fit me, and then like finally in like 8th grade, it stopped fitting me. But I wore it for years.
Oh, that's sweet.
And now it's just I don't know. I'd probably wear a tiara again. I think it's cute. It was a little bit cringy to like keep wearing it in high school, I guess. But now I'll return to it.
I think, well, I mean, what I usually do for my birthday is I just wear like my favorite like clothing or outfit, like either something like comfy or just something that I'm like, this is my favorite thing. I love it. I wear my favorite plaid shirt or something. But also, yes, we love a birthday hat. They're great. I used to have like a special birthday hat. I'm pretty sure it no longer exists.
I would just probably throw on my Percy Jackson cosplay.
Because you're boring.
Because I'm Percy Jackson. Because I
am. We almost have the same birthday.
You are... Listen, I have the flowing black hair of a surfer, kind of. I'm beach hunk. Percy is a beach hunk, so I'm canonically Percy.
The other professional beach hunk.
The other professional beach hunk.
So what you're saying is we need Steven and Percy to do like the Spider-Man pointing meme, and they're both like wearing professional beach hunk shirts, but Percy's is like blue.
What we need to do is meet up again at a Comic-Con and do the fucking pointing Spider-Man meme in our Percy cosplays. We didn't do that the last time.
I feel like we did, but like we didn't get a photo, so like
we didn't
it didn't
take a
happen.
photo. How dare you?
You know what's hilarious is that the other night I told my dad that I was coming on this podcast over dinner, and for the rest of dinner he was asking me things like, so who would win in a fight, Percy Jackson or Steven Universe?
Nice.
Who would win in a fight though? Who would?
Yeah,
I think
it was a good
the
question.
end of that fight is actually that like they like have such a heart to heart that they like become besties and start crying together.
No, Steven starts singing, "You can make a difference. You can make it right. You can make it better.
Right.
We don't have to fight." And Percy puts his sword down. He's like, "That's beautiful, man."
I was going to say he has his Spinel moment and just punches him back into the crowd.
Percy's not one for cheap shots, I don't think.
No, I think our boys would like end up being like bros. It's like Scott Pilgrim versus the World, like it's the end that like he's gonna fight Nega Scott, and then like 2 minutes later they're walking out, they're like, yeah, we're gonna go have brunch like next week.
Yeah,
that's how it ends. They're like, we're gonna fight to the death. No, actually, we're gonna go have brunch.
Yeah,
It's
funny. It's just funny. Now imagine a headcanon where instead of Steven doing this, Percy does this to Luke. You know, you can make a difference. You can make it right. And then like Kronos, Luke like freezes time, and he's like, no, none of this.
Luke as Kronos is doing the cheap shot like punch.
Yeah,
that's how it goes.
You can make it. I just want to keep singing that song, but I can't.
We
Phoebe,
need to end this podcast.
Phoebe, thank you once again for coming on to our silly little show about the gay space rocks.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
We will have all of Phoebe's stuff in the show notes below, so be sure to check her out. And if every podcast were perfect,
we wouldn't have the bits.
Bye.
Bye. You can follow this podcast socials at The Bits SU Pod on Instagram and Tumblr. You can send a message to our Diamond line through thebitssupod@gmail.com. Be sure to give us a rating, a review, or let your friends and followers know how much you love the podcast. That really helps. Our music was written and produced by Jason Hilton. You can find him at Negative Selections on Instagram. You can follow me, Charlie, at GreenPixie12 on most platforms, and I also have an art Instagram at GreenPixieDraws.
You can find me, Robert, at the Damn Meme page on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Damn is spelled D-A-M. If you want to hear more from me, check out one of my many podcasts. I have a Once Upon a Time podcast called Entering Storybrooke, a Kim Possible podcast called That's a Sitch, and an Oseman Verse podcast called the Truum Grammar Book Club.
The Bits is proud to be a part of Deus Ex Media, which features great podcasts like Content and Capable that follows Sam as he tries to figure out what it truly means to adult.
Have you ever gotten so distracted in Stardew Valley that you forgot to sleep? Have you realised that you have a whole room in your house full of dolls? Or have you even bored your friends to sleep talking about your passion? Well then, Content Capable is the podcast for you. Join me, Sam, as I chat to people passionate about what they do, asking questions about how they fell in love with their passion, what they do, and how it interacts with their day-to-day lives. Catch the podcast every Monday as I find out what makes someone tick, all while gleaning interesting and insightful life lessons along the way. There'll be laughs, a bit of crying, a whole lot of conversations, and we learn just a little bit more about the world around us.
The absolute best. Hey, speaking of birthdays, I quickly found out that the author of Garfield, Jim Davis, his birthday's today. As in today when we're recording. I love Garfield. All right, I can't get into that tangent.
This is something I did not know about you, actually.
I'm a huge Garfield fan. I love reading the comics very occasionally. The only reason I really read a newspaper, other than to die a little inside, is to read the comics, and I always read the Garfield comics. I don't care if it's the same 10 jokes repeated over and over again. I fucking love it. One of my favorite memes is I forget if it's a Twitter or a subreddit where it's called Garfield minus Garfield, and it's just Garfield strips where it looks like John's talking to himself, and it's so fucking hilarious.
I've seen these.
Amazing.
Deus Ex Media.